In our recent discussion about the three keys that can be used to enhance spirituality, as they are taught within the Western occult traditions, most especially in the Servants of Light and the traditions stemming from Dion Fortune, Dolores Ashcroft Navicki, et al. The three keys are very specifically desire, visualization, and imagination. And whilst these three keys are crucial to understanding the magical process, it is important to understand that we must understand what each of these means in specificity. And the one laden with the most baggage is in fact the first one, which is desire. It is easy to glibly point out, rightly it might be added, that desire has not had a good press in Western spirituality. One could argue it hasn't had that great a press in Eastern systems. But again, part of that lies into who is doing the translation of the texts, and also at what point in history were these texts used. Within Western Magick, that's Magick with a K, and its equivalent in the East, which I would argue is the Tantric path, desire has a very important place. Of itself, desire is not a problem. What you want to do with that desire, that could be a problem. Your intent for desire decides whether you are going to walk down a skillful or an unskillful path, and the fruits that manifest from that path are commensurate with the intent. If you desire ill or you desire to control another, therein lies the seeds of your own downfall. Your desire will in the end consume you. But of itself, desire is not the problem. In fact, it can be a very powerful tool. And in so doing, it is important for us individually to examine, what does desire mean for me? Yes, there is the phallic connotation of desire as lust. Again, of itself, not necessarily a bad thing. But in examining this, we must understand that desire exists in all of us, as in everything. We must realize that it also resides in objects and in all that the mind can grasp. Then, in discovering the universality of desire, we are able to release its grip upon us, but more importantly, our grip upon it. And this is where desire becomes an important tool. Why do almost all the spiritual paths prohibit sensuality, desire, and passion? Indeed, why cut off a part of human potential just so that we can achieve some hard to conceive of goal? What kind of goal would this be if it did not include the totality of all that it means to be human? And in that, we include desire. But desire of itself is neither good nor bad, and can be a powerful conduit of psychic power, of spiritual power, of personal, emotional intent. And when we enter into a healthy relationship with desire, we can begin to go beyond befriending it to using it as a tool for our own progress. Now, what decides that progress depends upon what it is you're desiring, but also what your relationship is and understanding is of your own wants, wishes, and to put it in clearer word, your desires. And when we look at it within the 3 keys approach to magical practice, this becomes much closer to some of the more esoteric spiritual texts. I think of Shaza Rinpoche's discussions on the issue in Zhangjung Dzogchen, as well as Chogyam Trungpa's teachings. And dare I say it, Aleister Crowley in some of his more lucid moments, in that desire is a key. It is a tool. It is not the goal, nor is it the path, but it is the means by which we can enter the path. And so when we look at desire within the concept of the 3 keys of desire, visualization, and imagination, we must ask ourselves, if we are going, for instance, to use these 3 keys to create the thought forms, a crucial aspect of Western esoteric tradition, as it is of tantric practice, then what do we mean by using desire? Well, on one most basic aspect that nearly everyone trips up on at some point is, do you actually know what it is you desire? And is your desire merely blind, vague grasping? Or is it something that will benefit you, benefit your journey, benefit those with whom you are graced to walk upon the path with? And equally important, do you actually know what it is that you desire? In the wisdom literature of children, fairy stories, an awful name, but wisdom literature nonetheless, the downfall of many a person granted unlimited power through a certain number of wishes falls upon their face because they wish without really understanding the need for clarity in the magical process as it is in the tantric process. If I want prosperity and I enter into doing prosperity magic, whether that's in the Western tradition or it's in the Eastern tradition, working with the Nagas and with the wealth deities, what do you actually mean by wealth? What do you mean by prosperity? What is it you actually want? Because if you're not clear about the intent and just have this vague idea of, I want a lot of money, then your focus becomes blunt. And when it's blunt, it begins to fracture because it doesn't have direction. More importantly, we leap in wanting the big things without treating desire as a skill which we need to practice. Begin by desiring small things, maintaining your focus. And then, as you can maintain your focus, when you move into the visualization stage, then your visualization has clarity, it has boundaries. If you want to call it the magic circle or the sanctuary of your own consciousness, that works. But in so doing, we define our boundaries. We can then focus our energy, and from that we can manifest what it is that we need, because there is clarity of purpose, clarity of focus, and clarity as to the goal we are working towards with our magics. So it is important for us to examine what it is that we want, define what it is that we want, and frame our working around that. An example I give can be working with the Greek magical papyrus. When one begins, one looks, for instance, to invoke wealth magic through Helios. And you can go in going, I want wealth. And you perform the ritual, and yet you sit there going, nothing happened. I have done this ritual and nothing has actually happened. Whereas if you stuck your head over the parapet, you would see, oh my goodness, I have a nice job, I have a lovely home, I have beautiful things. In many ways, I am prosperous. When I first began my journey as an adult, I did spend time homeless. And there were times where I slept in public toilets because I could jam the air dryer to keep myself warm. When I look at my life now, I have in truth close to achieved nearly everything that I could ever wish to achieve. I have things that once I craved. And so when I look at prosperity, for me to desire more without giving thanks for what I already have is ungrateful to the universe. But more importantly, it is just grasping. And grasping, whether in a ritual sense, a spiritual sense, a psychological sense, is an unfocused activity. And with that, we fracture our intent and the direction by which our will and our consciousness focus together to achieve a goal. And so it is important, first, before you begin any working, to make concrete what it is that you want. Not only in the wanting, but what will be the end point of that journey of desire. Because it is important in the visualization stage, and from that the imagination stage, so that we can visualize the desire within time as well as space. And this creates a three-dimensional magic. And with time added to it, it becomes a fourth-dimensional magic with a K. But that within that, we are then able to embrace the desire as a living reality, to enrich it, to give it form, to give it substance. And the thought form that we are going to create to achieve that, something I will explore a little later in another of these wee musings. With a living desire, with a breathing, fully realized idea about what it is you want, where you want to go, what is the end goal, and what benefits will it bring, whether to you or to others, because this decides the path that you're walking. And in the Western tradition, that is whether you're walking a light path, a dark path, or as I do, you walk the grey path. But it also stops you turning into a hungry ghost, where everything that you do is all about getting things, about me, my wants, my desires, which of themselves are valid things, but for the purposes of creating magical intent, can dilute the focus of your attention, dilute the focus of your evocation or your invocation. Two very separate techniques. And in so doing, we begin to move from the impulsiveness of grasping desire to the spontaneity of self-arising desire. Impulsiveness is brutal and destructive, as much of yourself and your energies as of the world, because it's unconscious of the other and of the world around you. But spontaneity, including spontaneous desire, is full of a much maligned word these days. It's full of grace, because it has the power to be granted through the consciousness relating to the reality of the environment within which we operate, exist, and draw our power. So, if you are going to use the three keys, I strongly urge you to spend some time focusing on your desire. What is it that you are desiring from this? Is the thing you are desiring the goal? Or is it going to allow you to move towards and gain the goal? And once we do that, desire no longer controls us. We, in fact, use desire as part of the medicine bundle of our own psyche. And as a result, we empower our magics to be stronger, more effective, and from the perspective of the mystical, far more profound than it was when we first began. I am Dr. Shimon de Valencia, but more importantly, I am the Merry Mystic. And I wish you joy and blessings, and may all your desires bear fruit.